Part 1. I used to believe that the quiet moments in life held the least meaning, the space between phone calls, the drive between home and work, the stillness just before sleep. But I was wrong. It turns out that it's in those moments, the silences, that the truth screams the loudest. It began one Sunday morning, the kind of morning where the world feels slightly out of sync. You wake up a little too late, the sun feels too bright, and even the birds sound off-key. That was the morning I found the letter. My husband, Aaron, had already left for the gym. Or so he said. His shoes were missing, his side of the bed cold, and the faint scent of his cologne lingered in the hallway. I wasn't suspicious, not yet. After all, this was our routine. I brewed coffee, set 2 mugs on the table, out of habit more than expectation. That's when I noticed the envelope, plain, cream-colored, sealed, and addressed to me in his handwriting. I didn't open it right away. Something about the way it sat there, perfectly centered, made my chest tighten. Instead, I paced. I cleaned the already clean kitchen, checked my phone 3 times for texts that weren't there, and finally sat down. The paper was thick. Heavy. Inside, just a single sheet. Maya. I need to tell you something. I can't keep living like this. Please don't try to find me. That was it. No signature. No explanation. Just those 4 sentences and a vacuum of silence that swallowed everything I thought I knew. I reread it until the words blurred. My first instinct was to call him, but the call went straight to voicemail. I texted. No response. I stared at the door, willing it to open, for this to be some twisted joke. It didn't. For hours I sat there. My hands trembled, but my mind ran in every direction. Was he sick? In danger? Cheating? I went from fear to rage to disbelief and back again, cycling emotions like a washing machine on an endless loop. That night, I didn't sleep. I replayed every moment of our marriage. The lazy Sundays, the inside jokes, the way he would hum when he cooked. Had I missed signs? Were there cracks I'd ignored? By morning, I wasn't just devastated. I was determined. I filed a missing person report, but they weren't concerned. He's an adult, the officer said, offering a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Sometimes people just leave. His words felt like a slap. But Aaron wasn't the type to just leave. Not without a reason. And certainly not without saying goodbye. So I began to look. Not just for him, but for answers. I started with his things. His drawers, his files, his laptop. I wasn't snooping. I was unraveling. Hunting. That's when I found the second envelope. Hidden behind our wedding album. It wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to someone named Claire. Inside, a photograph. Aaron. Smiling. Holding a baby I'd never seen. And suddenly, the silence between heartbeats became deafening. Part 2. At first, I just stared at the photograph, unsure of what I was even seeing. My hands shook as I turned it over, hoping for a date, a name, a clue, anything that might ground me. And there it was, in neat, looping handwriting, Claire and Ava, Spring 2022. Ava. The baby had a name. I sat back, the air knocked out of my lungs as if someone had punched me. Spring 2022 was a year ago. Aaron and I were together then, living together, sleeping in the same bed, laughing over takeout on Friday nights. He was mine. Or so I thought. 1,000 thoughts screamed through my head. Was he cheating all along? Was Claire a fling? Was Ava, was she his? I wanted to believe there was an explanation. That this was a cousin, a friend, something innocent. But in the photo, Aaron wasn't just holding the baby, he was looking at her the way he used to look at me. Like she was the center of his world. I placed the photo down carefully, as if touching it too hard might make the truth more unbearable. I needed answers. Real ones. And there was only one person who might have them, Claire. It felt like a betrayal just typing her name into social media. Like I was stepping into a place I wasn't meant to go. But within minutes, I found her. She lived just 2 towns over. Public profile. Dozens of pictures. Smiling selfies. Brunch photos. And then there she was, Claire, again holding the baby. Ava. The same smile. The same eyes as Aaron. There was no denying it now. My husband had a second life. I messaged her. I didn't know what to say, so I kept it simple. Hi Claire. I think we need to talk. I'm Aaron's wife. I watched the seen notification appear almost instantly. My heart pounded in my throat. A minute passed. Then 2. Then 5. Finally, she responded, "Come by. You deserve to know the truth." That night, I drove without music. No distractions. Just the hum of the engine and the storm inside my chest. I rehearsed what I would say 1,000 times, but by the time I knocked on her door, every word disappeared. Claire opened it with Ava on her hip. And the look she gave me wasn't one of guilt. It was pity. Part 3. Claire stepped aside to let me in, her eyes scanning my face with quiet sympathy. I walked in, unsure whether I should feel rage or collapse into tears. Ava clung to her mother's shoulder, one chubby hand grasping at Claire's hair. The little girl looked at me, curious, unbothered, and it shattered something in me. She was innocent in all this. We sat across from each other in a modest living room. Toys were scattered across a soft beige rug. A candle burned on the side table, lavender and sage. Everything smelled warm, calm, like a life being lived in the open. A stark contrast to the secrets I was just beginning to uncover. Claire didn't wait for me to speak. "I knew he was married," she said quietly. The words hit me like a slap, more painful because they weren't shouted. They were offered gently, like she knew they would hurt. "You knew." I could barely get the words out. She nodded. "At first, I didn't. We met at work. He was consulting on a marketing project at the firm I worked for. It started out innocent. Flirty. Harmless, or so I thought. When I found out he was married, I ended it. Or at least, I tried." I looked down at Ava. She was now toddling around the living room, unaware of the storm her father had caused. My throat tightened. "You tried," I echoed. "But here she is." Claire nodded again, her eyes wet. "I found out I was pregnant after I ended it. I told him, and he begged me not to tell you. Said it would ruin you. That he loved you. That it was a mistake." My fists clenched in my lap. "He said he loved me too," I whispered. Claire looked away, ashamed. "He said he would leave you. That he was just waiting for the right time." But weeks turned into months. I stopped believing him. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up, pacing. "So what now? You two co-parent in secret while I stay in the dark forever?" "No," she said quickly. "I've been threatening to tell you for months. He begged me not to. Said he'd lose everything. He should." Claire stood too, stepping closer. "I'm not proud of what I did. But I never lied to you. He did. And he's still lying." That stopped me. "What do you mean still?" She looked me in the eyes. "Aaron isn't just hiding Ava. He's hiding something else. Something bigger." Part 4. "What do you mean something else?" I asked, my voice low, wary. A chill crept up my spine despite the warmth of the room. Claire hesitated. Her eyes darted toward Ava, who was now playing with a wooden puzzle on the rug, humming softly to herself. Then she stepped closer and lowered her voice. He's not just living a double life with you and Ava. There's more. I didn't want to believe it either, but I've seen things. Things that don't add up. I stared at her, my breath shallow. Claire, I swear to God, if you're playing some kind of game. I'm not, she interrupted, firm. Do you know about the other bank account? What bank account? She pulled out her phone, tapped quickly, then turned the screen toward me. A photo of a bank statement, Aaron's name at the top, flashed in front of my eyes. The account had regular deposits and frequent withdrawals, all completely unfamiliar. I found this on his laptop when he left it at my place one night, Claire said. He didn't realize he was still logged in. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I asked, my voice tight. Because I didn't know what it meant. I thought it might just be how he was helping with child support, off the books. But then I followed him. You what? Claire didn't flinch. 3 weeks ago. He said he had to fly to Chicago for work. He packed a bag, left Ava with me, and I got suspicious. So I tracked him using a location-sharing app we used when I was pregnant. I never deleted it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I leaned against the arm of the couch, heart pounding. He didn't go to Chicago. He went to a town 2 hours away. He checked into a boutique hotel under a different name. I blinked at her. Are you saying he's seeing someone else? A third woman? Claire gave me a tired smile. I don't know who she is. But I watched him meet her. They kissed like old lovers. Comfortable. Familiar. Like this wasn't new. My knees buckled slightly. I sat down, the room tilting. This couldn't be real. My husband hadn't just betrayed me once, he'd built a labyrinth of lies, each hallway darker than the last. I need to see it, I said finally. Claire nodded. I figured you'd say that. I have the photos. She opened another folder on her phone, and I saw him, Aaron, walking hand in hand with a woman I didn't recognize. Brunette. Tall. Elegant. They looked like a couple who had been together for years. I felt like I was going to be sick. So now what? Claire asked, gently. What are you going to do? I looked up at her, my voice barely a whisper. I'm going to find out who she is. And then I'm going to burn his whole damn house of cards to the ground. Part 5. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake in Claire's guest room, staring at the ceiling while Ava's soft breathing filled the quiet. My thoughts looped endlessly, Aaron's face as he kissed that woman, the casual familiarity in his gestures, the double lives he orchestrated with such precision. How long had this been going on? Who was she? And how much of my life had been a lie? At sunrise, I slipped out of bed and walked into the kitchen. Claire was already there, sipping coffee, her expression unreadable. Did you get any sleep? She asked. I shook my head. Not really. I need her name. Do you know it? Claire hesitated, then reached for her phone and slid it across the table. On the screen was a contact, Elena Walker. She checked into the hotel with him using that name, she explained. I called the front desk pretending to be his assistant. They confirmed the reservation. Elena, I repeated slowly. The name meant nothing. No connection. Just another stranger living in my husband's carefully constructed web. I want to meet her, I said quietly. Face to face. Claire raised an eyebrow. And say what? I don't know yet. But I can't move forward without understanding the full extent of what he's done. And if she's in on it. I need to know. 3 days later, I sat in a small cafe downtown, my palms sweating against the ceramic mug in front of me. Claire had found Elena's social media. An art gallery manager. Local. Refined. We reached out with a vague email, posing as a potential artist, requesting a quick meeting. When she walked in, my stomach twisted. She was beautiful, graceful in a way that made me instantly self-conscious. But it wasn't just her appearance. It was her ease. Her calm. She didn't look like someone hiding an affair. She looked like a woman in love. "Hi, are you the artist?" she asked with a warm smile. "No," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I'm Aaron's wife." Her smile faltered. It was subtle, just a flicker, but it was there. Recognition. And guilt. She sat down slowly, setting her purse on the table. "I don't. I think you've made a mistake." "I haven't. You've been seeing Aaron. I've seen the photos. I know everything." Her shoulders stiffened. "He told me he was divorced." I nodded. "He told me he barely spoke to his ex, told her we were in counseling." Elena swallowed, her eyes glistening. "How long?" 10 years. Married. With a son." She looked down. "It's been 2 years for us. I thought we were building a life." That hit me harder than I expected. She wasn't lying. I could see the betrayal dawning in her eyes. A different kind of hurt. The kind that mirrored my own. "I didn't know," she whispered. "He said he was taking things slow because of his daughter." "Daughter?" I echoed. She blinked. "Yes. A girl. 6 years old." My blood ran cold. He'd told her about Ava. But not as Claire's daughter. As his own, with someone else entirely. A third woman. This was worse than I imagined. Part 6. The air around me felt suddenly thick, like trying to breathe through fog. I stared at Elena, trying to understand the depth of what she had just revealed. Aaron hadn't only lied to me, he'd built an entire fictional life, even repurposing someone else's child to suit his narrative. A 6-year-old daughter, I repeated slowly, numbly. "He told you she was his?" Elena nodded. "He said she was from a previous relationship. That the mother wasn't in the picture anymore. I always thought it was strange that he never brought her around. But he said she was shy. Sensitive." My hands trembled around my cup. I tried to keep my voice even. "That child isn't his. Her name is Ava. She's my best friend's daughter." Elena's lips parted, but no words came. Her hand went to her chest, as if bracing for something. "I need to know something else," I said after a moment. "Did he ever mention a woman named Rachel?" Her eyes darted to the side, the way someone's does when their mind is flipping through too many memories at once. Then she nodded, almost reluctantly. "Yes. He said she was the mother. He showed me a picture of her once. Said she died in a car accident before Ava turned 2. It felt like my heart dropped into my stomach. Rachel was alive and well. Claire's sister. Ava's real mother. How many women had he woven into his lies? "So he's not just cheating," I said slowly, more to myself than to her. "He's rewriting everyone's lives." Elena looked pale. "I didn't know, I swear. I never would've." "I believe you," I said quickly. "That's the worst part. He made us both believe in him. Different versions, but both rooted in the same lie." She wiped at her eyes with a napkin. "He told me we'd buy a house this fall. That he was saving for it. I gave up a gallery opportunity in Boston to stay here with him." I exhaled slowly, then reached into my bag and pulled out a photo of Aaron and Ava that I'd taken last Christmas. I slid it across the table. "I'm sorry to do this to you. But I think you need to know who he really is." She stared at the photo, her shoulders slowly sinking as if some last, fragile hope had finally crumbled. "He used to talk about family dinners," she whispered. "I thought I was part of that dream. We both were, I replied, my voice hollow. We sat in silence for several minutes. Two women, strangers until now, linked by a man who had carved pieces of himself into false promises. I could feel the anger start to bubble beneath the sadness, the kind that simmers slow and deep. I don't know what to do now, Elena finally said. What are you going to do? I looked at her, and I realized in that moment that I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to scream or break things or post about him to the world. I wanted the truth. For myself. For Ava. For the other women who may still be in the dark. I'm going to find out how far this goes, I said. And then I'm going to end it, on my terms. Elena nodded slowly. If there's anything I can do. There might be, I said. But I need time. And I need to prepare. Because if there's a third woman out there, we're not the only ones he's lied to. That night, I sat with Claire, piecing together everything. Every inconsistency, every out-of-town conference, every late meeting and forgotten anniversary. It all pointed to one thing. Aaron wasn't just living a double life. He was living multiple lives. And I wasn't the only wife. Part 7. I barely slept that night. My mind was a blur of overlapping memories and questions, all looping back to one chilling realization: Aaron wasn't just a liar, he was a master manipulator. Every moment we shared, every tender smile, every late-night whisper, had been a mask. By morning, I had a plan. Claire offered to take Ava for the weekend. She didn't ask questions, she just hugged me tightly and said, "Do what you need to do." First, I called Elena. "Are you still in?" I asked. Her voice was quiet, but steady. "Yes. Just tell me what you need." I had spent hours the night before scrolling through old emails, cross-checking travel receipts, digging into calendar entries. Every business trip had a trail, and some of those trails overlapped. Hotel names, dinner reservations, strange charges on our joint account. I mapped them out, drawing connections between dates and locations. Patterns emerged. "I think there's another woman," I told Elena. "Possibly two." Her sharp intake of breath said she wasn't surprised. "He's good at making you feel like you're the only one," she said. "But now that I know, I see the cracks." We decided to work together. She sent me photos, texts, even a flight confirmation from 2 months ago. I compared it with my own calendar. That same weekend, Aaron told me he was in Denver for a tech convention. He was in Chicago. With her. But that wasn't the only place he had visited. One receipt caught my attention. A quaint seaside inn in Maine. A 2-night stay under the name Aaron D. I never even knew he'd been to Maine. I stared at the name beside it, Emily D. The reservation was booked for 2. "Elena," I said, "I think I just found the third woman." I called the inn, pretending to confirm a booking. The manager was friendly and talkative. "Oh yes, Aaron and Emily, lovely couple. They've stayed with us a few times. Always the same room, ocean view, fireplace." I hung up, stomach tight with nausea. That night, I stared at Aaron while he slept beside me. Peaceful, innocent. I wondered how many stories were playing out behind that calm expression. How many lives he was juggling. How many lies he was keeping straight. The next day, I sent a message to the inn, asking if they could forward a message to Emily D., something discreet, just a note from an old friend. I left a burner email. 3 days later, I got a reply. Her name was Emily Dorian, and yes, she'd been in a relationship with Aaron for over 5 years. She lived in Boston. He visited once a month, claiming his real job required it. They were talking about moving in together. The weight of it all hit me like a wave. 5 years. I had been married to him for 7. How could one person live so many lives? I met Emily 2 days later in a small cafe just outside the city. Her face crumpled when I told her the truth. Like Elena, she had believed she was building a future with a man who had no future to offer. He told me he didn't want kids, she whispered. Said his heart had been broken once. That he couldn't go through that again. I felt sick. Because with me, he'd always said the opposite, that he longed for a family. That Ava had changed him. But it wasn't Ava who changed him, it was the performance he crafted to fit the life he wanted to sell. The three of us, me, Elena, and Emily, began trading timelines, photos, stories. The more we talked, the clearer it became. Aaron had built a house of cards so elaborate, it was a miracle it hadn't fallen sooner. And now, we were the storm. We didn't want revenge. We wanted closure. We wanted truth. So we decided to confront him. Part 8. We agreed on neutral ground, Elena's apartment. It was the least emotionally loaded space, and she was brave enough to offer it. Aaron thought he was coming over for dinner. Just a simple catch-up, he said when Elena texted him. I miss your cooking, he added, with that same charm that once disarmed each of us. He had no idea. When he arrived, I was already there. Emily too. We stood silently as the door opened and he stepped in, expecting candles or conversation. Instead, he froze. His eyes darted between us, Elena by the window, Emily in the corner, me on the couch. His smile flickered, faltered. That moment, that split second where his entire web began to collapse, I'll remember forever. What is this? He stammered. No one said a word at first. He tried again. Claire, why are you? Anne. Emily. What are you doing here? You forgot to say Elena, I said quietly. He turned to her. Elena, what's going on? Elena stepped forward. Her voice was calm. We know everything, Aaron. He blinked. Everything what? We know about the trips, Emily said. The lies. The overlapping relationships. He laughed, too loudly. This is ridiculous. You've all misunderstood something. Stop, I said. He looked at me. And I saw it then, the realization that he wasn't going to talk his way out. Not this time. For the first time in years, he was cornered. We didn't scream. We didn't cry. We just laid out the evidence. One after the other, photos, emails, receipts. Emily's messages. Elena's timeline. My calendar. 3 versions of his life, woven together with surgical precision. And all unraveling. To his credit, he didn't deny it for long. By the time I showed him the main in confirmation, his shoulders slumped. He sat down. Quiet. Hollow. I never meant to hurt anyone, he muttered. But you did, Emily whispered. For years. Why? I asked. Why all of it? He ran a hand over his face. I don't know. At first, it wasn't supposed to be this serious. Then it was too late. And I couldn't stop. I needed something from each of you. You made me feel like I mattered. You mattered, Elena snapped. You just chose to matter in the worst possible way. We left him there. We didn't threaten him. We didn't tell him what to do next. We just walked away, 3 women who had once believed in the same man, now bound by betrayal. Later that night, back in my own apartment, I watched Ava sleep. Her tiny hand curled near her cheek, her breath slow and even. And I knew I had done the right thing. Not just for me. But for her. The next morning, I filed for divorce. Emily blocked him. Elena changed her number. We kept in touch, not as friends bonded by trauma, but as survivors of the same storm. Somewhere, Aaron might be spinning new stories. Finding new threads to weave. But not with us. We know better now. We know what truth costs. And more importantly, we know what we're worth.